Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of The Sound of Healing. And this is a um, new podcast, new show. I'm not really sure what it's going to be actually, but I have a very good friend of mine here, and we're going to have a little discussion today about stress and what causes it and how it manifests in our body, and also what we can do to alleviate it. So, welcome, Shirley Moss. Thank you
Nice to
for
be here.
Thank you for joining me today. So we've known each other for many, many years, um, and so I'd like you to just tell our audience a little bit about your background and maybe some of the things that have caused stress in your life and how you've seen that manifest itself over a period of many years.
I can say that I guess I became more aware of it. I worked as an educator while having two daughters and being married and trying to be there, be mom and take care of, taking my daughters to different events while they were in school, working as an educator, trying to be available for students and parents, and as an educator for the district that I worked for, there wasn't much as far as planning time, not at the elementary level. So it meant I had to do a lot of things outside of my working day. And then I definitely wanted to be active with the church congregation. So I was trying to do a lot. And it was, I started experiencing health challenges, and I went to a chiropractor because I was in pain. And she told me that my pain wasn't from an injury, but it was more from anger and just trying to, do a lot of things and just not being wise as far as my time. Before that, I was going to a different chiropractor, but his office was in Irvine, and it just was just challenging as far as the traffic to go to his office during the week. But he had told me that I was experiencing adrenal fatigue, and that was the first thing I realized as far as the effects of stress. And so I was meeting with him for several years before I started meeting with the chiropractor in Brea, and I met with her because she was closer, because the pain the from stress and just different emotions were just really making it I was in a lot of physical pain as well as the emotional pain, and she was the one that referred me to seeing a therapist. And the therapist strongly warned me, if I didn't make changes and stop trying to do everything, that I was going to end up in the hospital. And I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but I did have a panic attack, and I was at work. The office called the paramedics. The paramedics said that my body did show signs of, some kind of stress. It wasn't a heart attack, but definitely had experienced something that affected my body. And so I did start attending a group that was called mindfulness, that the psychologist had referred me to. And that did help a lot as far as because I was getting to the place where I was becoming, I would have panic attacks when I was in a car. I couldn't handle being a passenger. There were times when I wanted to get out of a moving vehicle because of just the fear and just feeling unsafe in a car. And then, just realizing I needed to drive myself to work, to and from work. And the therapist that led the mindfulness practice group, gave me strategies to deal with, she said to look at patterns when I'm driving and to be aware that as far as just my body sensing an unsafe condition, to tell myself that I was okay. And I was amazed at how quickly that worked. And being a mom, I thought about how I would do that for my children. And then when I did it for myself, I was relieved because I was at work and I started feeling the same way that I felt when they had called paramedics for me. And I just told myself, "You're okay." And I sat down and I was still and I felt better. Um, the other thing that happened was just losing my hair. That was a visual that I was aware of, and just thinking, why am I losing? My hair is getting thin, and I did find out there's a thyroid issue, but realizing that stress has been affecting many of my organs. I go in for an adjustment with my chiropractor monthly. I go in for a massage, and both of the chiropractors said I needed a massage monthly because my muscles are so tight. I haven't learned how to relax. And so, even though this is my 5th year of retirement, I still haven't really learned how to relax. And so I've been given different tools by different people. The chiropractors have told me I need to get adjustments, I need massages, I need to learn to be still and to be quiet. I was practiced, with the therapist. I was doing mindful meditations, loving kindness meditations. And so those have been very helpful.
What a story. Do you think that when all this news came out, when you found that you had adrenal fatigue and the pain and everything, was that really the first time you connected the stress that you had gone through with things that were happening in your body, or did you have an idea of that all along?
I don't know. I think I didn't pay attention to it. I'm listening. I'm being more aware now of just really paying attention. There was a part of me just felt like you just need to push through it. Other people are doing a lot, and you just need to, push through it. It wasn't the safest thing. I think about just, falling asleep while driving a car. Happened to me when I was in my early 30s. And it's just thinking you just got to keep going and not really taking time to really see, what is going on with my body, what harm I was doing. So,
Yeah. Well, you are a person that, and I know this from experience, that you give and you give and you give to so many people around you, as well as your family. And I imagine that that was something that you had to kind of rethink a little bit, because maybe just learning to give back to yourself is, something that we don't always embrace, or we feel it's, selfish or
yes.
something. Did you ever think that?
Yeah, I thought it was selfish, as far as self-denial and just, thinking I'm superwoman, that I can keep going. And that's dangerous to think that way. The body has limitations, and I wasn't mindful of the limitations.
Right.
And definitely has taken a toll.
Yes. Yes. And now that you're doing these different practices, the mindfulness, the loving kindness meditations, are you finding that um, are things improving? Are you able to kind of stop that cycle of?
Yeah, the panic attacks I haven't had that feeling. And so I really, even when I'm in a car with someone else that's driving, and I can sit in the front seat instead of the back seat. So I see improvement that way. Also, I, I taught the therapist recommended to not try to multitask, do one task and finish it. And so that's something I still try to incorporate as far as not trying to wash dishes, do laundry, do a lot of different things at one time, but, just do one thing and just really protecting my mental health.
Right.
Um,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm also a teacher, and and we've known each other also as colleagues. And I think we do that because there just doesn't seem to be enough time to do all the things that we need to do. So, we have one arm on the dishwasher, one arm on the,
yes.
the laundry. We're doing 5 things all the time. And, I think although teachers do get nice vacations in the summer and sometimes throughout the year, I think our time apart from that is quite stressful and quite demanding. And tell me a little bit about your experience in the teaching profession. What did you find caused stress in your career? Because part of this podcast is also talking about different careers and how they do create stress in our lives.
Well, I did start teaching in Florida, and in Florida, the district that I was a part of, they did build time in planning time into the day. And it was quite an adjustment when I started teaching in California. You had to be there like 30 minutes before the students came into your class. But when it was dismissal time, that was the end of the day. And so, really, you're doing a lot on your own time. And I just felt like, as far as in our district, there were new adoptions. You were constantly, expected to learn, more things. You were expected to learn new technology. So there were those expectations. And then once people, being online, there was even more expectations with an online presence, answering emails. And I even asked one time in a meeting, well, how quickly are we supposed to, respond to an email? So there were definitely greater and greater expectations along with the technology. I would see teachers, responding to parents on their lunch hour, or parents, teachers doing, you know, texting parents and emailing parents during the day. And I'm thinking to myself, they're just making it harder for the next teacher as far as if they're meeting these, you know, requests or demands on their lunchtime, on their break time. Parents are going to expect that from the next teacher. And I really didn't like that. I felt like, the expectations were already great. And now you have people that are, you know, setting the bar higher than the expectations. And and then depending on the principal, some principals really respected people's well-being, and others expected people to be attending workshops and doing things during the summer when it should be a time of rest. It was more like, well, what did you do during the summer? And it was kind of demeaning. And so it depended on the environment of the staff as far as what was valued and what was, looked down upon.
So you retired 5 years ago,
Yes.
and even within that time, you haven't yet felt like you've completely been able to just kind of fully relax. Is that right? And
Yeah, and some of it could just be the first year of retirement. I ended up taking care of my mother before she passed away, and with family being in Florida and living here in California, that has been challenging as well. So, and I still, even the other day, my brother-in-law was in the hospital, and I'm thinking, I could get a call anytime and would need to fly,
right,
across
right.
country. So that is something that I think about at different times as far as just, being able to be there for family.
Yeah, one of the things I studied in my sound therapy certification was the difference between the sympathetic and parasympathetic state in our nervous system, and how our nervous system can just be constantly in a kind of high wired state, and just not know how to get into a parasympathetic state. So one thing that vibrational uh, therapy and sound therapy does is help the body to achieve this parasympathetic state without you really having to do anything to think about it, because of the sound and the effect on the body. So I know you've been to a few of the sound baths that I've given, and you're signed up for a few more. So what is your take on sound and music therapy and sound therapy? What has been your experience with that?
Well, I've been listening to a few videos and realized I need to do it more because, and I shared some videos with you and I listened to them, and it talked about, just how music therapy can help my body to relax. And it's like, I know it does need to relax. And so I've, just I purchased a CD today to see, by playing this person's music, piano pieces, if it is going to bring up, help me to relax while I'm here at home. And I plan on playing it because they talked about how it will make a difference.
It's amazing, something so natural, so holistic that we don't even think about, and how many people would just go to the doctor and get something prescribed and take another pill, and that's so easy to do that, and not realize that, we have things we can implement in our lives that will help, that are a little more holistic, a little more
Right.
healthy than that. I know you try to live a very healthy lifestyle, and in terms of your diet and exercise and all the things that you do.
Well, trying to be mindful about the exercise and and the eating plan, and so, but I definitely have to pay attention to it if I really want my body to relax,
Right.
and to feel better.
Yeah, and it's some of us are in positions where we just really can't afford to be stressed, and it's interesting that we get to that point in our lives. As you know, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease earlier, last year, at the end of last year, and I think basically the doctor didn't really give me a lot of reasons for that diagnosis, except that it was stress related, and that's about all they could say. But I don't think it's one event. I think it's multiple events over
Yes.
a long period of time that eventually does really just catch up with you. And when you get to be our age, and I'm 61 now, and you're a little bit older than me. You're 70.
71 this year.
That's right. It's all of a sudden, wow, we just can't handle the stress the way we used to. And maybe we couldn't handle it then, and maybe our body was just storing it up for this time in our lives where we'd be like, oh, well, I really need to deal with this because, otherwise this may kill me,
Yes.
And I know we have friends that have had cancer, have had heart disease, have
Right.
myriad of problems, and I remember reading that it was about 95%, possibly even higher, of diseases and ailments are stress related.
Yes.
So, stress is a huge component in illness. I'm not a medical professional, but I think we don't always make the connection, and I think always the medical profession doesn't always make the connection or help with the root of that. So it sounds fantastic what you're doing to really attack it from so many different avenues, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically.
Yes.
It's really great. So, so I want to thank you for coming on today. We don't want to make this super long as the first time. We want people to listen to the whole thing and stay tuned. So thank you for sharing your life with us today, your strategies, and your interest in the world of sound and its healing abilities. So appreciate that.
Thank you for all that you're doing.
Well, just trying to bring some awareness and to this field, which oftentimes has a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions related to it. And I think just the power of personal story is so wonderful to hear from someone like you. And we will have some medical professionals and nurses and things on here as well. But just to have just somebody that has experienced this on their own and now is using sound therapy as one means to help themselves. So
Yes.
thank you for that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Okay. Bye.